The relationship between the United States and Ukraine has been a cornerstone of international support for Ukraine amidst the ongoing conflict with Russia. However, recent events have exposed a growing rift between the two nations, fueled by public accusations and conflicting narratives. This tension, primarily stemming from statements made by US President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy, threatens to undermine the crucial alliance at a time when unity is paramount. The discord became increasingly apparent following Trump's comments regarding Zelensky's leadership and the origins of the conflict. These statements, delivered with Trump's characteristic bluntness, have ignited a war of words, leaving the future of US-Ukraine relations hanging precariously in the balance. This essay will delve into the escalating tensions between the US and Ukraine, examining the accusations levied by both sides and their potential ramifications. We will explore the international community's response to this diplomatic row and analyze the broader implications for the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. As the world watches with bated breath, the question remains, can this vital partnership weather the storm, or will it succumb to the pressures of political maneuvering and divergent narratives? US President Donald Trump has never been one to shy away from controversy, and his recent pronouncements on Ukraine have once again thrust him into the global spotlight. Trump's statements, often delivered with a healthy dose of hyperbole, have struck a nerve in Kyiv, further straining the already fragile relationship between the two countries. Central to Trump's critique is his assertion that Ukraine bears some responsibility for the ongoing conflict with Russia. This claim, roundly rejected by Kyiv and its Western allies, has been met with accusations of appeasement and emboldening Russian aggression. Furthermore, Trump has taken aim at Zelensky's leadership, questioning his competence, and even going so far as to label him a dictator without elections. This inflammatory rhetoric, devoid of any factual basis, has been widely condemned as an attempt to undermine Zelensky's legitimacy, and sow discord within Ukraine. Trump's pronouncements have not been confined to Zelensky's leadership. He has also cast doubt on the effectiveness of US aid to Ukraine, suggesting that the funds would be better spent elsewhere. This line of argument has resonated with some segments of the American public, raising concerns about the sustainability of US support for Ukraine in the long term. In the face of President Trump's pointed criticisms, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has remained defiant, defending his country's actions and pushing back against what he perceives as a campaign of misinformation. Zelenskyy, a former comedian thrust into the role of wartime leader, has proven to be a skilled communicator, rallying international support and effectively countering Russian propaganda. Responding to President Trump's allegations of Ukrainian culpability in the conflict, Zelenskyy has steadfastly maintained that Russia alone bears responsibility for the invasion and the ensuing bloodshed. He has pointed to Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and its continued support for separatists in eastern Ukraine as irrefutable evidence of its aggression. Zelenskyy has also addressed President Trump's claims about his leadership, dismissing them as baseless and politically motivated. Citing his overwhelming victory in the 2019 presidential election and consistently high approval ratings, Zelenskyy has argued that his mandate stems directly from the Ukrainian people. To bolster his case, Zelenskyy has highlighted the resilience and determination of the Ukrainian people, who have mounted a spirited defense of their homeland against overwhelming odds. He has emphasized the sacrifices made by ordinary Ukrainians and the unwavering support they have received from the international community, including the United States. Section 4. Backroom Diplomacy. US-Russia talks exclude Ukraine. As tensions simmer between Washington and Kyiv, the United States under President Donald Trump has engaged in direct talks with Russia, seeking to find common ground on issues related to the conflict in Ukraine. These discussions, held without the participation of Ukraine, have raised eyebrows in Kyiv, fueling concerns that the US may be willing to make concessions at Ukraine's expense. The most recent round of US-Russia talks held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, focused on a range of issues, including arms control, strategic stability, and the ongoing war in Ukraine. While both sides acknowledged the need for dialogue and de-escalation, no concrete breakthroughs were announced. The exclusion of Ukraine from these talks has been a source of considerable anxiety for Zelenskyy and his government. They argue that any negotiations regarding Ukraine's future must involve Ukraine as a full and equal partner. the US has defended its decision to engage in bilateral talks with Russia, arguing that it is essential to maintain open lines of communication with Moscow, even in times of heightened tension. However, this approach has done little to alleviate Ukrainian concerns about being sidelined in discussions that directly impact their future. Section 5. A world divided, international reactions to the escalating tensions. The public spat between President Trump and Zelenskyy has reverberated across the globe, eliciting a range of responses from world leaders and international organizations. While some have expressed support for Ukraine, others have remained silent, highlighting the delicate diplomatic balancing act required by this complex geopolitical situation. European leaders in particular have been vocal in their condemnation of Trump's remarks, viewing them as detrimental to transatlantic unity and potentially emboldening Russian aggression. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, a staunch supporter of Ukraine, criticized Trump's questioning of Zelensky's democratic legitimacy, emphasizing the importance of upholding democratic values and institutions. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer echoed these sentiments, reaffirming the United Kingdom's unwavering support for Ukraine and its right to self-determination. Starmer's comments underscored the strong ties between London and Kyiv, forged in the crucible of shared values and a common commitment to countering Russian expansionism. However, not all international actors have been as forthcoming in their support for Ukraine. Some countries, particularly those with close ties to Moscow, have chosen to remain silent, unwilling to alienate Russia or be drawn into a conflict that they view as primarily a regional issue. Section 6. A visit to Kiev. Kellogg navigates the diplomatic minefield. Amidst escalating tensions, U.S. Special Envoy Keith Kellogg visited Ukraine to mend fences and reaffirm U.S. support under President Trump. His trip followed controversial U.S.-Russia talks, aiming to repair relations and address concerns. Kellogg met with Zelenskyy and officials, discussing U.S.-Ukraine relations and future paths. Zelenskyy welcomed the visit but expressed concerns about U.S.-Russia talks and transparency. Kellogg reiterated U.S. commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and military support. He stressed international unity against Russian actions. Despite assurances, unease lingered in Kiev. The exclusion from U.S.-Russia talks left Ukrainians questioning U.S. support. Section 7. The war's enduring shadow. Uncertainty clouds the future of Ukraine. As the conflict in Ukraine grinds on, the country grapples with the devastating consequences of war and an uncertain future. The human toll has been immense, with countless lives lost and millions displaced. The war has devastated Ukraine's economy and infrastructure. Despite these challenges, Ukrainians show remarkable resilience and determination. They mount a fierce resistance, inspiring the world with their courage. However, the path ahead remains uncertain, with no clear end in sight under President Donald Trump's administration.